Hi, this is the Rachel Hamm Show. I'm Rachel Hamm. This is Nikki. She's taking her afternoon nap. She takes a morning, noon, and afternoon nap and then sleeps all night as well. Must be nice. I have tried to come to you sooner, but have had one obstacle after another. So I wanted to tell you about it. So in my last episode, I had told you that there was a story about where I had purchased a lovely Italian leather purse, but was sent a briefcase instead, and how I believed that it was actually God redirecting my steps. And then how most recently I felt like God was telling me my briefcase was going away, and He put a spatula in my hand, and I was going to be doing some different things. Well, I was very excited about that. I have been working on it nonstop, it feels like. And I have met one obstacle after another. I mean, it's been unreal, the things that I have encountered in trying to bring you some specific content, which I tend to take as a good sign. Like, I tend to kind of feel like, why am I having so much opposition? I don't know if you've ever read the book, The War of Art. So, there's the famous book, The Art of War. Well, there's another book called The War of Art. And it's very interesting. It's got a kind of a new age spin on some of the stuff, but there's still some really good principles in it that you can take away, which one of which is when you set out to do something good in the world, when you set out to make the world a better place or create something, especially if you're creating something, that there is a wall of opposition that rises up to meet you to keep you from doing that thing. Well, that's what I've experienced. I've experienced that my whole life. Probably you have too, right? Like you try to do something, you feel like got to put something on your heart, you seek to do it, and it's just like opposition, warfare, struggle, right? And he says in the book that actually the way he's redefined success, and the way that he defines success is overcoming opposition. So at the end of the day, you ask yourself, did I overcome today's opposition and keep going anyway? And if the answer is yes, then you were successful today. And I liked that. So I had a show that I was excited to do, and I was shooting in 3 different places. So I shot in here, I shot in my kitchen, and I shot in my garden. And it was an all-day process. It was about 12 hours worth of working on it, mostly because of the different locations, and then also because it was new stuff that we were having to learn how to do. And so we were also doing multiple angles and indoor and outdoor and lighting and microphones and all this stuff, right? So it's kind of complicated, and it's just new. I'm sure that we'll get used to it and it won't be as hard. But for right now, it was just difficult. It was a lot of work, a lot of learning, and it was hard. So no problem though. We pushed through, got it all done, got it all recorded, and I was so excited to start the editing process and see how it all looks and how it was going to come together so that I could bring you the final product. Well, what I discovered at that point was that my lapel mic was not working. So the only sound that was being picked up was on the 2 cameras, which were not right next to me. So you can hear me, but you can't hear me that well. And it was not ideal, to say the least. Now, we had checked the microphone and it had been working right before we started filming. We had a lot of that kind of stuff, a lot of technical difficulties. The whole time I've done my show, it feels like something always like pops up, but especially this kind of thing where it's like we checked, we made sure that the microphones were working, and they were, and then they weren't. So we don't know what happened. But it is what it is, right? So we began an editing process to see if there was any way we could get the sound on the cameras to be increased to make it where it was still usable. And we were in that editing process, which also was hours long. Okay, so we've already done the 12 hours, and now we're doing this other process that's hours long, only to have the computer suddenly say, you have run out of storage. You must delete files on your computer. You can basically my computer would not let me do anything else on the computer until I got stuff off of it. So I plugged in my external hard drive, started moving stuff, or was going to move stuff over, and it wouldn't work. It said it was full. Also, storage full. Couldn't take any more. I'm like, okay, tomorrow, at this point, it's like such a long day. It's late. We're like, okay, tomorrow we'll go buy a new hard drive. So I went and bought a new hard drive, and we transferred a bunch of stuff over, and it still wasn't working. Something wasn't right on the computer, still wasn't working. And we couldn't figure out why. And then we realized, okay, I just had to do something with the files I had deleted. They still were backed up on my computer in a different spot or something. So anyway, I don't remember exactly what it was, but got that fixed. But it just was very time consuming in figuring it out. And then I plugged the hard drive back in to confirm that some things, like, had I moved those over yet or not? I didn't want to delete them until I had for sure moved it over. And it gave me an error message on the brand new hard drive, error message. Well, I assumed it was error on the part of the operator because, again, technology just is not the easiest for me or for my son. So we thought it must be us. Let's go to Best Buy, where we bought the hard drive, and see if we can get some help from them. So we went back the next day, returned the hard drive and asked for help, brought the computer, showed them what it was doing. They took it in the back, looked at it for a little while, and came back and said, yeah, no, this is not operator error. This is a corrupted hard drive, and everything on it is lost. Now, I had deleted a bunch of stuff off of my computer because I had moved it to that hard drive. So I now had lost a bunch of videos, photos, documents, gone. And the hard drive was unusable. They had to give me a whole new one. So we got a whole new one, came home, got back on trying to work on the editing process. But in the process of all that happening, some things in our life were happening that were just a lot and were super emotional for me. I'm not a super emotional person. So, and I've cried like almost every day for about 8 days now. I've cried, which is, again, not usual for me. Not just a super weepy kind of person, like a lot of girls can be, which is fine. I'm just not that way. So it was extra hard. And I actually started feeling like paralyzed, like I hit a wall, like it was hard to keep going. I could not think straight. I felt super tired. I kept waking up at 3 a.m. and not being able to get much sleep. And it was just like hard, like why does life have to be so hard sometimes? But it just was. And it was frustrating. And after getting the sound and all that edited, it doesn't sound great. I don't know if I'm going to put the video out because it just doesn't sound great. I don't know. Haven't decided for sure yet, but the thought of having to reshoot the whole thing also, that doesn't sound good either. So not sure what I'm going to do. Get back to you on that. If you see a video though that I put out that doesn't have great sound, just know that I did the best I could do. And it's a bummer. So I've been dealing with a lot of what I would call opposition, oppression, depression, even like just feeling down, like struggling to just kind of get through the day or whatever. And so I was praying, and the Lord brought me back to some basics, things that I've talked about before with you, with, like putting on worship music and just having that kind of be what's in the atmosphere, kind of using worship as a weapon. So I did that. That was helpful. And then he did 2 more things. He had me look at the Hebrew calendar, which is interesting. I knew it was the Lord because it was like not my idea. It was just like, look at the Hebrew calendar. So I go and look at the Hebrew calendar. I'm like, okay, it's the month of Av. So I go online. I start reading about the month of Av. What was so interesting was it said that the first 9 days of the month of Av, which I believe today is the 8th of the 9 days. So remember what I said. Been crying every day for 8 days. And I also, by the way, I felt like I was grieving. And I was. There were some hard things that had happened where I really was grieving about them. But I also felt like my response didn't match the situation. Like, I'm like, what is wrong with me? Why am I having such a hard time? So, and I knew, some other things, like I hate the heat. It's been over 100 degrees now for like a week and a half, and just stuff like that. So I thought, is it all of it? Maybe it's all that together. I don't know. So, so I start reading about the month of Av, and I read that the first 9 days of Av is actually like got a name, like it's called the 9 days of Av or something like that, are considered to be the hardest 9 days of the year. That the Jews consider this to be the time when you're supposed to just survive it. That's the goal. That these 9 days, if you survive it, you've done well. And the reason that is because repetitively in history, which is interesting, over and over during these 9 days, really horrible traumas and crises have happened to the Jewish people. And so because it's been repetitive, they see this as like if you just survive it, you're doing well. So it's said that also these 9 days were to be observed by being days of mourning, that you were supposed to mourn for these 9 days. You weren't supposed to have meat or wine. It says you're not supposed to do home improvements during these 9 days. Thought that was kind of random and weird. I'm sure there's a really specific reason, but it didn't say what it was. So not supposed to do home improvements these 9 days. And you're supposed to mourn the tragedies that have happened. Wow. I felt better just from reading it because I felt like I think the Jewish calendar is God's calendar. I really think that that's the calendar that we should pay more attention to as far as cycles and history and seasons and the feasts and all that. That's God's timing is the Hebrew calendar. And it's very different than our calendar. Like the New Year is in September. So it's very interesting. These 9 days that happen to perfectly coincide with me feeling like I'm mourning, crying, struggling, feeling like it's heavy and oppressive. And like, if I can just get through the day, I'll be doing well. And then I read this, and that's precisely what it said about these days. So I wanted to tell you about that because maybe you're having the same problem. Maybe you're feeling oppressed and discouraged and, just kind of sad about some things that are happening or haven't happened yet, or, the presidency, the attacks on the past president, and the information that's been coming out from the IRS whistleblowers, the information coming out from the Hunter Biden whistleblowers, just so much stuff that is heavy. It's heavy, and maybe you've been feeling the weight of that as well. So I wanted to encourage you with the fact that if you've survived these days so far, you're doing really well, and good job, and keep going. And also encourage you with the fact that, I've had these really hard days, and that it seems like there's opposition just trying to stop me from bringing you content, but I'm determined to keep going, and I will bring it to you, and that we're in this together. And so keep going. Just keep putting one foot in front of the other, and just know that probably what you're feeling is something temporary. It's something spiritual in the atmosphere. It's something going on even just globally. That the Hebrew calendar is something that can be applied globally. Okay, the other thing I want to tell you is that I am going to be deleting my old YouTube videos because of the new content that I'm wanting to put out. My chances of my channel being taken down are less, I think, because I'm not going to be talking about specific subjects. But every time my channel gets taken down, they tell me it's from a video from like 3 years ago. Like they will tell me, oh yeah, it was something in 2020 that I put out or whatever. So I am going to go back and delete all of my old YouTube videos. And all of those videos are on Rumble. So I just wanted to let you know, if you come back and there's like one video on my whole channel, that's why. I'm deleting it so that YouTube can't use it against me and try to censor me and take my channel down. So go to the Rachel Hamm Show on Rumble. There's a link down below in the description box if you're watching this on YouTube, and subscribe because they're letting us have free speech on there. I keep saying it over and over. It's so important. Rumble is not as easy to use. I don't like it as much as YouTube. It's frustrating to me. I get it. I wish that YouTube would let us have free speech, but they're just not. So it is what it is. The other thing I wanted to tell you is that right now it feels like there's a big shift happening. And a lot of times in transition times and shift times, it can just feel, sometimes we're not even conscious of what it is, but we can just feel something's going on. And I just wanted to encourage you that, I think that there really is a big shaking that's maybe just beginning, even with some of the stuff we see happening with all those situations I just mentioned. that can be great. Like those are great. It can be great because things need to come to a head. We need to have some shaking going on. And so I think it could, it could be hard, it could be a little bit scary, but also don't be afraid of it. Invite the shaking. We need some things to be shaken up. And we need justice. We can't just keep going like this. Like as a nation and even globally, we can't just keep living like this. So don't fear a shakeup or even a confrontation in any way. Don't fear that. It'll be okay. It'll be okay. Okay. So just wanted to give you that update because I had said I was going to be bringing you some specific content and I have not brought it to you, and I wanted you to know why. I hope that you have not been experiencing the sad, heavy, depressing feelings that I have been experiencing during these 9 days of Av. But in case you have, just know that that's a repetitive thing throughout history and that this too shall pass. This too shall pass. Keep going. Overcome. Remember the definition of success, overcoming opposition. Just keep overcoming the opposition and keep going. We will get through this. God bless you and know that you are loved. See you soon.